the new coach at Florida, John Summerall. And I don't know if you've been able to have any interaction with him, but it's pretty. It's. I mean, he had a pretty good opening press conference.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I think to me, I know Urban really well. And for him to be there and kind of endorse him speaks volumes. But yes, he seems to have enthusiasm. I mean, he's a defensive coach. Doesn't mean he can't be powerful on offense. And I tell you what, Tulane is killing it. And I think it's great that he's going back and he's going to follow through with that mission.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It's going to be a good show today. My friend Brad Culpepper is going to join us. We'll talk to him about the new coach, John Summerall. We'll talk to him about all the other things he did, all the great things he did as a college football player here at Florida, All-American, Dratty Award winner, all those things as well. And we'll talk a little bit about the 91 FSU game, which to me, I swear, I put the 91 FSU game slightly ahead of the 97 FSU game, which is allegedly the greatest game ever played, right? That a lot of people say. Personally, there are games that I think are better games. That was 97's really great. 91 was better. And I could explain it to you and talk to you, but we'll talk to him about it anyway. Coach Spur should be back on Monday. He is at the Heisman ceremony. I think they have a dinner tonight or Sunday night. Anyway, he's up for that. And of course, he was at the Hall of Fame as well to see Urban Meyer get inducted. And then on next Thursday, Drew Copeland is going to join us. We'll do our picks for the playoffs. We're just going to do the first round. There's no point in picking games we don't know if they're going to be played. So we're going to do the first round games, the 4 games there, and we'll do a few bowl games that the SEC is playing and just have some fun with that. That'll be on next Thursday. All right, so let's get to our Royal Blues starting 5, brought to you by our good friend Randy Royal over at Royal Blue Yacht Sales. If you need a boat, there's only one place to go, and that is to Royal Blue. We appreciate Randy so much. All right, let's get. Believe me, I wrote down several things here for the number one story, but the number one story changed yesterday about 4:15, and that's when I was driving home from the gym. And all of a sudden, I'm listening to one of the talk shows, sports talk shows. I think it was Feinbaum. And he goes, there's real breaking news here. And he goes, Michigan. And I go, what could be that big a deal at Michigan? Sharon Moore has been fired with cause. And right away, you're going, holy. That was almost like pull off to the side of the road news, because that came out of nowhere. Now everybody is saying there have been rumors for 2 weeks about this. Now, obviously, we don't get those rumors down in Gainesville the same way you would get them at other places. No doubt about that. But here's what we do know is that it's a bad situation. There's a report out now that he held a knife to his own throat and threatened to kill himself. He got in a fight with his wife. Then he went to the person who he was apparently having some kind of a relationship with, inappropriate, held a knife to his throat again, threatened to kill her. He got arrested for assault. Wow. He's in one of the great jobs of all time. I mean, Michigan, what a great job that is. But it's just the strangest, oddest story of all ever. Just as we get out of the portal, out of the carousel, a lot of words you have to remember here. Just as we get out of the coaching carousel, we're back in it. And now we wonder who's going to go to Michigan, and is that going to start another little domino going? For example, Kalen DeBoer's name is going to be connected with it, and I'm sure he's not overly happy about that if he's not interested. He's kind of a Midwest guy, and Michigan's hey, look, every fan base is got its lunatics, okay? We all know that. People want to talk about Gator fans are the worst, and then people tell me Ohio State fans are the worst, and people tell me Auburn fans are the worst, and a lot of people think Michigan fans are the worst. Notre Dame fans, we know that we rank them, all right? But that's the lunatic fringe. Most people that are big fans of a team are just normal human beings who root for them and get mad when they lose, and sad when they lose, and then they forget about it, and doesn't encapsulate their whole lives. Look, it encapsulates my life. It encapsulates a lot of people who listen and watch this podcast lives. And that's fine, but you can't let it get ugly. And that's what most people, I would say 90% of fan bases, don't engage in that kind of stuff. But the 10% who do get the attention. And it bothers coaches. Some coaches can't handle it, some coaches can. To be honest with you, I think Billy Napier handled about as good as anybody. However, there was other issues there. Anyway, so Kalen DeBoer's name's going to come up, and we'll see if that goes anywhere. This is a list of people, and again, this is what's great about this is I'm sure a lot of people, national writers especially, were going, we got the playoffs coming up. What am I going to do? I'll do a story on how Signetti built Indiana. That's a good story. Yeah, you're selling that, But now you're like, whoop, forget that story. Let's get on the Sharon Moore, who's going to succeed him at Michigan, and what are the deets on all that stuff. But so here are some other names that came up. Jed Fish, who of course his name came up with the Florida job. I think Florida might have interviewed him. I heard that. I'm trying to remember whether I heard from a good source that they did, but it doesn't really matter. They've got their coach. I would not have been overly excited about that hire, to be honest with you. I don't think he's won enough, to be honest. That's just the way I feel. But he's a good coach, and he was at Michigan for a while, so they may consider him. And again, they're in a desperate situation here, but there are a lot of people out there. And so here's some of the other names that are being thrown out there. Well, Jed Fish, Brian Kelly, that would make some sense. I hate to say it. He knows Michigan. He coached up there, not at Michigan, but at two schools in Michigan. And then obviously he's got nothing else to do. So that might make some sense. Marcus Freeman name is going to come up. Again, he's just got a bowl game to get ready for. I don't know if that would be. I don't see that being a step. That would definitely be a lateral move, and we'll see. Lincoln Riley's name has come up, and this is again his agent, who I assume is Jimmy Sexton. I don't even know 100% that he is, but I assume everybody's Jimmy Sexton's their agent. It could be Trace Armstrong, I don't know, but somebody is pushing Lincoln Riley. And that was the story that came out that everybody was freaking out about. Lincoln Riley wanted the Florida job, but Florida didn't contact him. Well, Lincoln Riley wanted to make more money at USC. He's got the #1 recruiting class coming in, and I don't think he's going to Michigan either. But hey, let's get him a little more money at USC. It's the way this operates, and there's got to be a better way, but it is what it is. I floated this idea, the funniest, yesterday, and then other people came and floated it right behind me, but I think I might have had it first. Lane Kiffin to Michigan. How funny would that be? We would be laughing and having a great time, but I don't think that's happening, but it would be fun if it did. So another coaching search, and to me, it's one of the top 5 jobs, I think. I think it's probably, see, now I don't know that you consider Georgia to be a better job than Florida, for example. Maybe Georgia's got the money, more money, and maybe that makes it a better job. But Georgia wasn't a better job than Florida when Spurrier was beating Georgia every year, right? So it does get cyclical. But Alabama certainly, and Ohio State are two of them. But I would put Michigan right in there. It's a great school, great crowd, biggest stadium in the world. Anyway, so we'll see what happens there. Let's get along to number 2, which is basketball losing on Tuesday night. Certainly another disappointment, another close game. They've lost 4 games by a total of 15 points. Here's the thing. These guys never stop playing hard. Sorry, got a little phlegm in my gonectozoid. They never stop playing hard. You're never out of a game. It's kind of like last year. The difference is they don't have maybe the clutch gene that they had last year. And the clutch gene there was several guys had it. Certainly, Will Richard. Don't tell me Will Richard didn't have it. I know Walter Clayton is the one who gets a lot of the glory, but Will Richard definitely had that clutch gene. So did Elijah. So did I think Condon has it. I just think he's struggling a little bit sometimes. He's playing really hard. Look, these three of these losses are to top five teams in the country right now in the ranking. I think it's 1, 3, and 5, or 1, 2, and 5, whatever it is, or 1, 4, and 5. Anyway, they're and they're not bad losses, but eventually you got to win some of these games. And even the George Washington game on Saturday is a big game for them. They're like 44, I think, in the net. I don't know what they did last time they played Delaware, but they haven't really gone on the road too much this year. They've been a lot of home games, but that's not the point. Point is, Florida's got to do the things in the clutch. They're doing things to get in the clutch. You know what I mean? They get to that point where they have a chance to win the game, and then they don't win it too often, and that's an issue. Certainly, when you can't get the ball in and get a 5-second count, that's a big part of it. I went back and watched it. I was curious because after Todd, well, I didn't want to say somebody, Todd Golden said, "Man, that was a quick whistle." So I went and watched it. And I'm not, go watch it. On the 5th count, the referee doesn't even finish the count before he goes like this. He calls that it's 5 seconds. He didn't even finish it. And he's going fast anyway. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then he's like here and he stops right in the middle of it. So, hey, look, I'm not saying they were out to get Florida. Maybe this guy was excited. Maybe he'd been, I don't know. You got to play around officiating. It's one of my credos, and I believe in it. I just don't think you can constantly say, "Oh, the refs are out to get us." Maybe they are. Then what are you going to do about it? You can't do anything about it. They're not out to get you. I know that a lot of people feel that way. I remember Will Muschamp used to feel that way. But anyway, that's another story. They got to play better. They got to get some wins here now, and you really need to finish out the non-conference without a loss. But you didn't get that big non-conference win that you needed. Just one would have been okay. If you'd beaten Duke, you had to lead with 40 seconds to go. If you'd beaten UConn, you had to lead. Well, you had to lead off and on in the second half, but you had a chance to win that game. If you'd beaten Arizona, you had a chance to win that game. But they didn't. And they've got to figure out a way to win now. All right. Let's get to number 3. Excuse me. Sorry, I've got a little frog in my throat. Number 3 on our Royal Blues starting 5, and that is we have our Heisman finalists. That will be Saturday night. I doubt that I will watch it, but I would look. It's just a long, hour-long show that should be 5-minute long. It's like Barbecue Pitmasters. Barbecue Pitmasters is an hour long. It could be 20 minutes. That's what the Heisman is. It's unless you've got a guy in it, it's really boring. But I can't tell you who I voted for and I'm convinced ESPN is the one that put a kibosh on that of people. And we used to do that. We did that with Werfel. We did it. I think we did it with Tebow. But anyway, where you call a bunch of Heisman voters to say who'd you vote for, and hey, look, we're projecting this guy to win. It's what they do with the polls, with the elections and stuff. Anyway, the point is, I can't tell you who I voted for, but we do know our 4 finalists. They are Mendoza, Pavia, Sayin, and Jeremiah Love. I voted for 2 of those people. The third one, I knew he wasn't going to get invited to New York, but I felt strongly about it. And I'll eventually be able to tell you. Next Monday, I will tell you who I voted for. Well, maybe we'll find out who Steve. He doesn't like giving away his votes, though. He usually doesn't like saying who he voted for, but we'll see if we can get him to do that. So we'll see how that all works out with the Heisman on Saturday night. All right. My favorite story of all time is from the Heisman ceremony, but I don't want to bore you with it. I'm sure I've told it on this thing before, but maybe we'll tell it next week. All right, let's get to number 4 on our Royal Blues starting 5, and that is our good friend Pete Alonso, who we'd love to get on the podcast sometime. I know we have access to him, but it's pretty tough when you're a big celebrity like he is. But he signed a deal with the Orioles, 5 years, $155 million. That's not bad. That is enough money to enjoy. That's life-changing money that we were talking about. We'll talk about that later, but life-changing money, and there's no question about it. I'm happy for him, and the best part of it is now I can root for him. I couldn't root for him with the Mets. So, the Braves will be playing the Mets, and Alonso comes up, and it's 2-2, and I'm like, don't strike out. I hope you strike out. Sorry, man. Loved you when you were here. I can't root for you. Now I can root for him, especially against the hated Yankees. Although against the Red Sox, I won't. But anyway, that made me very happy to see that he's leaving the Mets. I think a lot of people are really upset up there. Not only that, they traded away their closer too, the Mets did, to the Dodgers, of all things. All right, let's get to number 5, and it's kind of humorous because I started writing down things, and I just make this one segment, which is the college football segment. Let's start with Tennessee. Apparently, I don't know if this has been official yet, is hiring Jim Knowles, who, of course, went from Ohio State to Penn State for $3 million a year, which blew away the salary cap for assistant coaches. But obviously, he wanted to find another job, and Tennessee's defense has been awful. We saw him against Vanderbilt, especially. So that is a huge story. And if you're a Florida fan, you're playing Tennessee, it's not a good story. I mean, but hey, look, his defense was okay this year. It wasn't great. The big question right now for Florida fans, because we're waiting to see as these assistants are being interviewed, is Phil Troutline coming as the offensive line coach. Now, I've talked to Phil about this. Phil wants to come home, and he loves it here. You know that. We'll see if this happens. By the time you watch this, it might have happened, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but I think it's leaning that way. So we'll see if that does work. So that's a big story. Then we've got the Byron Brown, of course, the quarterback at USF, who's a great player. He's like, I'm not playing in the Cure Bowl. And I don't know that, it was more the AD and his family got together and they talked about it. It's no point in going out and playing the Cure Bowl. No offense, Cure Bowl. But so he's not going to play in that game, which is another guy opting out. And then I get to the other story, which is Billy Napier introduced at his introductory press conference at James Madison. He said the words that they wanted to hear. I'm going to hire a coordinator, offensive coordinator. And he said the words that made Gator fans bristle, which is, I've never been more motivated as a coach. So when you were here at one of the great jobs in America, you weren't as motivated as you are at James Madison. And I'll leave it at that, okay? I don't want to say anything really inflammatory. All right, I do know this. We got to take a break. When we come back, Brad Culpepper will join us, or Culpepper. Brad Culpepper will join us. We'll talk to him, of course, All-American at Florida, and has a great law firm down there, Culpepper and Curlin, with Kate Curlin's dad, and, of course, his brothers as well. So we'll talk to him about a lot of things when we come back on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studio. Hey Gator fans, the holidays are here, and you know what that means. Great food everywhere. Pies, cookies, all the food we just can't resist. But here's the thing, you don't have to give it all up to lose weight and be healthy this holiday season. BMI TeleMed can help you enjoy the holidays and keep your weight on track. Their medical weight loss program gives you the medication and the support and the guidance you need. You can still enjoy the holiday food, you'll just eat less of it. So you can actually lose weight and not add the pounds most of us do this time of year. Start the new year ahead of the game. Visit our friends and Gator alums, Charlie Gonzalez and Bob Parado, at bmitelemed.com to learn more. That's BMI Telemed, achieve and maintain.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It is great to bring in a good friend and a guy who is, he's got a list of impressive things that he's done in his career, including opening his own law firm, and that is Brad Culpepper. Bradley, how are I shouldn't say Bradley because your name actually isn't Bradley, right? It's Broward. It's middle name.
Yeah, we don't even want to get into that. It would take the whole episode. But my official name though is Brad. I've changed it, and it is Brad, not Bradley. But anyway, good to see you, Pat.
Good to see you. I wanted to get your take first of all on the new coach at Florida, John Summerall. And I don't know if you've been able to have any interaction with him, but it's pretty. He had a pretty good opening press conference.
Yeah, he did. I think it's, to me, I know Urban really well. And for him to be there and kind of endorse him speaks volumes. But yes, he seems to have enthusiasm. He's a defensive coach. Doesn't mean he can't be powerful on offense. And I tell you what, Tulane is killing it. And I think it's great that he's going back and he's going to follow through with that mission. I hope it's great. It's been a while.
It's been rough. I'm sure it's been rough on you. You see a lot of people from I obviously working at Culpepper and Curlin. By the way, is that an alphabet thing, or did you say I take first billing?
That was his idea. So it was a smart move on his part.
Well, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot about his two sons up here in Gainesville this year.
Listen, Cade and Rivers are fantastic baseball players, and Cade's going into. He's got actually technically 2 seasons, but this is probably going to be his last season. And he, as a freshman, he really did amazing, and being all SEC and freshman All-American, and battled with some injuries.
It's been hurt.
He could be potentially he could be a 20, 30 home run kid in the big leagues as a second baseman. He's got a lot of power. And then Rivers is a great crafty lefty. I hope they understand that they don't always need the guy who's 6'6", throwing 100 miles an hour. You put somebody in off speed, and this kid can do it. He can hit all the strikes. And so anyway, I enjoy watching my nephews.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's talk about how tough it's been to be a Gator and to be, especially somebody who was an All-American, who won the Dratty Award and all these things. And it's your school, man. You're not switching schools, but it's just been rough lately.
Well, maybe it helps that Florida State stinks too. I guess Miami's the best of the bunch right now, though USF would say that they are. But it's just there's been such inconsistency. Some years are okay, and I don't know. We've all been beaten down so much that it was a little more difficult to really criticize players because, they're college kids, they're not making money, they're doing the best they can. And we would obviously, still be angry about certain things. But you would always temper your expectations or kind of criticism because, these are college kids. Well, now with the NIL and you drive around campus and you see these kids in these Mercedes and Ferraris and Lamborghinis and then they go out and lay an egg and only win, 4 games, or the quarterback's terrible, and he's making millions of dollars. It opens themselves up to a lot of criticism now because they're essentially pros. And when you're a pro player, the boos come out and the criticism is there. And that's essentially what these kids are. So during this NIL, there's a lot more people that are a lot less reserved and saying that guy stinks. I mean, our quarterback this year was terrible. I mean, I don't get it. What everybody can say what you want, blame the coach, blame whatever. I watched him play, and he was not very accurate and would make bad throws. And a team is essentially good as your quarterback, and they were terrible. So, in normal years, I wouldn't say that, but the kid's making what, $2 million, $3 million? I don't know how many millions of dollars he's making. So, a little bit like Tech with him, we need to move on and get somebody else.
He's making more than I am. I know that. That's
correct. And he's not performing as well as you are, Pat.
No, that's right. Let me tell you what, I would know what to do. I just wouldn't be able to do it physically. But,
right.
It's funny that you mentioned bowl games because obviously teams are dropping, opting out of games. We're talking about the kid down at USF is opting out of their bowl game after the quarterback, Byron Brown. I mean, and now it's just like, when you guys went to the Sugar Bowl, that was like a huge deal. Not only had you been picked on the year before, as we know, which was fair, and didn't go to a bowl, but and you'd been to that Anaheim Bowl, right, in '89?
Yeah.
That was the word. I gotta think that wasn't a great experience.
It was okay. I mean, the bowl itself was no fun, but the best bowl was in 1987, which is kind of a funny story. I was redshirted, so I wasn't playing at all. However, going into the last game of the season, we were playing FSU. Now, Florida had beaten FSU 4 straight years at that point. And in '87, they had Dion. They were good, and we weren't expected to win. But before the game, we got word that if we won, we were going to go to the Louisiana, Poulan Weed Eater Bowl. I don't know, in Shreveport or something, whatever it was called.
No, that was in existence then. Yeah.
But if we lost FSU, we're going to play in the Aloha Bowl in Hawaii. Well, we got beat, I think, 35-2. But that trip to Hawaii was fantastic. I think it was actually the National High School Cheerleaders Association, and they did the halftime show. So I was, 18 years old. It was a lot of fun out there. So that was since the Sugar Bowl didn't end the way we wanted it to with all the injuries we had, I think my favorite bowl was the one I didn't even play. And we played UCLA, Troy Aikman and all that.
Yeah.
And we almost beat them out there.
It was like 20-16 or something.
Yeah, it was Kerwin's, I think, last game. But then actually the next year, my redshirt freshman year, we played in the All-American Bowl in Birmingham, and Trace Armstrong, the All-American defensive end, was injured and couldn't play, and so they moved Jeff Roth, the normal starting nose guard, to defensive end, and I started that. It was my first college start in Birmingham at the All-American game. I think I made the first tackle of the game, and I was shed the center, and I was right there about to crush this running back. He was a big, stout guy for Illinois, Jeff George's team. And he hit me right in my chest and knocked me about 6 yards, but I made the tackle, but he got 6 yards. So anyway, that was about my first tackle of that game.
I remember that game because, that was a nice win. Florida, Emmett got the winning touchdown, and you got, I think Huey or somebody got a sack on Jeff George very late in that game.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good win. But 91, that must have been hard because you knew that if a guy got through the line, if Bettis got through the line, nobody could tackle him because you had like third linebackers in there.
Yeah, no, we had all walk-ons at linebackers. I had a plantar fascia bad on my heel, and I want to say Shane was dinged up too, but Shane obviously played. It just didn't. The wind was out of it. First of all, truth being, that was a great Notre Dame team. I think they had 7 or 8 first-round draft picks on that team. I remember Demetrius DeBose, who I ended up playing with the Bucks, was a All-American linebacker on the team. I was telling him, I was like, you guys underachieved that year. You guys were, I think preseason they were supposed to be number 1, and I think they lost 3 or 4 games. But anyway, Bettis was a beast, and it just went down. And we also knew we couldn't win the national championship with both Miami being undefeated and Washington being undefeated at that time. So the wind was out of our sails a little bit with that. But yeah, no, that was just a difficult game. But the season was amazing. I don't dwell on Syracuse, and I don't dwell on Notre Dame. I dwell on going undefeated in the SEC, which is not an easy task, and then beating FSU at home, the last home game, which was 14-9, was a fun one.
14-9. I like my Spurrier's got a beer called 5220, and I always get that when I go to Spurrier's. But I wish he'd have a beer called 14-9 because I would get that instead.
He should. You bring it up to him, and I'm going to bring it up to him as well next time I see him. I'm going to say, "Listen, that was a big one."
Yeah, I mean, and it was being from Tallahassee, like you are. I mean, that's still the one good thing about this year is that Florida ended with a win over FSU.
It is. I had actually had lunch with Martin Mayhew, who's a good friend of mine. Martin just retired as GM. He's been GM about. Actually, he was famously or infamously GM of the 0-16 Detroit Lions team. It's funny. He called me before he hired Rod Marinelli, and Rod was my defensive line coach, and Rod was an awesome, best position coach in the NFL. Didn't really translate to head coach, but Martin had called me and said, "What do you think about Rod as a head coach?" And I gave my full endorsement. Then Rod became his head coach, and then Rod was the guy who ended up losing 16 games. But anyway, Martin and I were at lunch just, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. He was in town. He was GM of the Commanders. He kept saying Redskins, and I was like, "Well, you can't say that." He goes, "I played for the Redskins." He goes, "It's hard for me not to say that." When he was at Florida State, which is about 4 years ahead of me, he never beat Florida. Went 0-5. As red shirt, and I, that was leading up to 87. Going into 91, I was 0-3. We 0-4 actually, because we'd lost 87 when I was redshirted, and then 88, 89, 90. Actually 89 was pretty close. We had a home. I think we wore blue for the first time in.
You did. I remember
decades.
that. Yeah.
And we really hung tight. They were, I don't know, number 2 or number 3 in the nation, and we were close. And lost at the last seconds. And then obviously in my junior year, when we, should have won the SEC, or we did win the SEC, they blew us out at home. They were at home at FSU, and Casey Weldon had an amazing game. So going into our senior year, it was like, man, this is now or never. And we lose, and then, it's going to be my whole career being from Tallahassee and never beating them. So anyway, I was kind of rubbing it in Martin's face. I was like, "Yeah, it must be tough going through never winning." And he's like, yeah. Let's not talk about this.
Yeah. Well, I know you like to do that. I did want to ask you too about where your Dratty Award is right now.
So it's called the Campbell Award now. They changed it.
Oh.
It was Dratty for the first 10 years, and then I guess Werfel won it, Tebow won it, Peyton Manning. There's a lot of who's who on I guess it's the academic Heisman. I have a little library at home, and it's in the back. You wouldn't notice it. It was kind of a cool trophy. It's a heavy trophy, and really I follow college football, so I know that it's changed name to the Campbell. But when it changed about 10 years ago. I think William Campbell was another person that they wanted to honor instead of the Dratty person. They sent me a new plaque to place over the plaque on the base of the trophy. So it changed from the Dratty to the Campbell, and the plaque didn't quite fit, but it's still, it's there. So
you have to get Gorilla Glue or something, or
it was sticky on the back, so it just kind of over took the other one. So anyway, if you came into our house and I took you in the library, I could
find it.
It's not out in the open, really.
What's the big one out in front?
My kids' pictures from Syracuse, Penn State, and wherever else, and NYU, where my daughter won a national champion. My daughter is the only real champion in the family. She at Plant High School, my sons came, they were runner-ups and for state championships, never won the state championship. My daughter, as a freshman, was on the flag football team and was a full halfback or whatever, scored a couple touchdowns in the state championship game. So she was a state champion in high school and then went to NYU and played basketball. And they won the national championship, Division III. I think 2 years. They've won back to back. So she's now at NYU Law School. But anyway, so she won a national championship, but she was captain of the team her senior year. So she's really only the true champ in the family. We all bow down to her.
Both your sons played college football. I mean, that's pretty good to have done that, and enjoyed watching your one son at Syracuse.
Rex. So Rex actually now he went to Stetson and now is his third year at Morgan and Morgan. So
oh, really?
He's cutting his teeth over there as a lawyer. And my other son, Judge, who had a cup of coffee with the Bucks last year, is now taking his first semester exams at Stetson Law School as well. So I've got three children who are going to be lawyers.
It's going to be just Culpepper and sons and daughter.
Correct. Eventually. But I'll let John, I'm still great friends with John. He hired me coming out of, so I went to law school actually while I was in the NFL and then actually graduated the same time I retired and took the bar. And I guess coming out of football, I was a 10th round draft pick. Coming out of Florida Law School, I was like the first pick of the draft. So anyway, wow. I went to John, worked with John for 5 years. And so having my own kids go there and cut their teeth and let John pay for it is perfect.
Well, you're set, man, because you've got the law firm income and your pension too. So that's good.
Yeah, I could have started. I'm 56 now, and you can start collecting a portion of the pension at 55, but I'm going to delay it as long as I can.
Oh yeah. Kind of like
quite frankly, my father, who was captain of the 1962 team at University of Florida, he's 84 now and works part time with me. Still comes in and really? He was a muckety muck bigwig corporate lawyer for a long time, chasing ambulances and helping people who snip on banana peels for the last 15, doing real law. But it's been a pleasure. I've had my dad, coming in. He and my mother are in between Tallahassee and North Carolina, and then here they kind of rotate between the three places, and then obviously Gainesville because their grandsons are there playing baseball. But anyway, so my dad's in here, 2 weeks a month, and I don't see if my kids ended up joining me, I think I'd do the same thing. I don't know that I would ever really retire. I enjoy what I do, and it kind of gives me purpose. I feel like a lot of my friends in the NFL, they run into situations, where I don't know, their marriages deteriorate just because these guys just don't have anything to do. Maybe they've made, back when I played, not many guys made the kind of money they make now. Although, the guys make a ton of money now, but then that's only about 5%. Most of the guys, and I throw these numbers out, but most of the guys on the team make somewhere from 700 to 1.5. That's a lot, but that's not going to change your really don't have something. But even if you have made a ton of money, you're 5 years old. If you've had an amazing career, and you don't need to have I think you're much less 9 years, and so I was always planning for my post football career, and it worked out well.
Absolutely. I cannot imagine if you were the kid that wanted to slough off in your family. Between you and Monica, first of all, you're going to have to be in shape. So you lost 100 pounds after your playing career.
What close? I never got more than about 280, so I got down to about 200 to 205 now.
Yeah, let's get back to the bowls and when you look at the college game and we see all this stuff we were talking about with all the players, opting out, teams opting out, it feels like eventually the bowls are going to all go away. They've had two already cancel, the Bahamas and next year's LA Bowl had been canceled already. There's no point, and you had to beg 5 and 7 teams to come play.
Yeah, I think they're on the way out. Well, it's not that they're going to be on the way out. I think meaningless bowls are on their way out. I think, again, I'm not pro on all this stuff, but it makes common sense to me that they would enlarge the playoff situation, and just have, say 24 teams or whatever. And then you're going to have, 12 initial bowls or 10 initial bowls or however they want to do it. And then all the bowl games will be connected to a playoffs. Now, maybe they'll be, for some of the smaller schools, bowl games, minor bowls. But I think for the Power Four, it's going to end up, in the next few years, that the only bowls are going to be associated with a playoff system, because of the problems they're having now. When, if you're not in the playoffs, you're like FSU a couple of years ago, where, they were an amazing team. They didn't get in because the quarterback got hurt and everybody opted out because they want to go play pro football or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well,
that's going to happen when this is, every team's going to happen there, and they got just demolished in the bowl game.
All right, Brad Culpepper coming to us on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. Let's go play Yes, No, Way, or Maybe with him. It is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Street dining done the right way. Go in there and say, hey, I heard Brad Culpepper on another duly noted podcast. Free fries with your order. The food is incredible there. Let's go to number 1 on Yes, No, Way, or Maybe, Brad Culpepper. When you were in the student government, you fought to let the pass outs continue.
I did.
Somebody asked me to ask Brad about that.
You're talking about being able to leave?
Yeah, when you could leave at halftime and go to the Porpoise. I used to call this games. Yeah.
I was on the student advisory, I was the student advisor on some committee. The only reason I know this is my wife's father passed away last year. Lived a long life. It was fantastic. Anyway, they're cleaning out their home because her mother's going to move to the Tampa area. She lived in Orlando, and I got a bunch of newspaper clippings that she had kept over the years, and I was just kind of going through it, saying, "Oh my God, this is so much stuff." And I saw the article about we won that, and you could leave and come back. So had I not done that, I don't know that I remembered, but I do remember. Yes, that happened.
Yeah, they ended up getting rid of that, I think, in the late 90s.
They did.
Yeah.
They didn't have a good student lobbyist.
Yeah, we could have used you in that. All right. Number 2, the 91 FSU game was the most intense football game you ever played in.
Oh, for sure, college.
Yeah, I was going to say you played in some big NFL games too.
Yeah, there were some in the NFL were probably more intense. You got your job on the line and everything else, but in regards to college, there's no doubt about it. That was coming second. Would have been maybe 2 Alabama games. One up there where we won when
91.
We actually won a number of times up there, but when Spurrier won in 90, we won. Yeah. And that kind of was we'd beaten Oklahoma State, and it was a first road game. Alabama was really good, and we had a great defensive game, good offensive game, and we beat them up there, which was a big deal. And then in 91, it was a close game at halftime. I think we were only beating them 3-0 in 91. Alabama at home. There was a 4th down play, and we stopped them. Anyway, we ended up blowing them out like 35-3. But that was both those Alabama games were a close second. But FSU, that game was number 1 for sure.
Yeah, that first FSU game you're talking about, I always call it the Will White game. Man, I think he had 3 picks in that game.
You mean the Alabama?
I mean Alabama. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, correct. It was. I think it was a sophomore.
Yeah.
Will was a quarterback Will was a quarterback from Godby. Up in Tallahassee, where I went to Leon High School. We never lost to Godby, but anyway, he won a state championship as a quarterback, and then of course played free safety and was All-American as a sophomore. You're right; he had 3 picks that day.
91 and 98 defenses to me were the best that ever played at Florida. 98 when they had Javon Curse and
yes,
Mike.
No,
Pete.
yeah, you've got good memories. You've seen a lot. You know, I remember specific players back in the 70s and 80s that obviously Wilbur Marshall and some other players that were great. But as far as a collective unit, and quite frankly, our '91 team, I mean, we didn't have any like name brand players. Like a Javon Curse. I mean, we were all just scrappy and tough, and appreciated that Coach Spurrier kind of came in and just said, "Hey, you guys are good. Keep doing what you're doing." He didn't mess us up. He said, "I'm going to make this offense match your defense," and he did. And it was why we, as defensive players, really appreciated a coach like Spurrier.
And finally, number 3 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe you have given Warren Sapp some crap because you led the Bucks in tackles 4 out of your 6 years there.
For sure. I mean, I got to pick my spots against Sapp. I mean, the guy's a transcendent defensive tackle. But yes.
And you led the team in sacks twice too. So, I mean.
Correct. So you know what? He already knows all that stuff, so I don't really have to bring it up to him. He actually brags about it when somebody else will say something. Skinny guy over there. Speaking of Sapp, when I was saying about having some direction, I think it's fantastic that he's coaching out in Colorado. He's really enjoying it. But that's someone who needed some kind of structure. I think he does a lot of fishing, and people pay to go fishing with him. He does, he's amazing with that. But this coaching deal, I think he really enjoys it, and it's given him some, stability, purpose, and so I'm happy that he's out there doing that.
That's great. I mean, that's why I do this. I mean, I'm retired, but I want to keep plugging away at doing something. I got to get up, have a reason to get up in the morning. Can't play golf every day.
Totally. And it's expensive.
That's right. It is. Brad, I can't thank you enough, man. This has been fun talking and catching up on some old Gator memories and some new stuff as well. Appreciate
Pat,
you.
I'm always available for you, buddy.
All right, we'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I did want to make a couple of corrections. One, I think last week I talked about Dan Wetzel, and I had him on the wrong podcast, and I apologize for that, and I apologize to him for it already. But and he could have corrected me, but he didn't, because he's a good guy, and he's the guy who broke this Sharon Moore story too. Well done. He and Pete Thamel are busting tail on it. The other thing was at the end of I did a little like wrap up thing that I used to do for another Gators Wire, but I did it for my Patreon people that are following me on Patreon, patreon.com/another duly noted, or no, it's patreon.com/duly noted. Sorry. So yeah, and I didn't misread the box score, but the box score was flipped on some. It was stat broadcast. It's not always reliable, but that's what I was going by. I had the rebounds wrong, and I went back and deleted it out, but on one thing. But just I appreciate people for pointing those things out to me, because I like to, believe me, I'm not the kind of guy who goes, if you didn't agree with my opinion, that's fine. If you are going to insult my family, it's not fine. If you want to correct a mistake I made, that's fine. That is totally fine. I appreciate that. If I make a mistake, let me know, because I don't like making mistakes, and believe me, it stays with me the whole day. It's okay though. I need to know that, and it makes you not want to make mistakes, right? I've always told journalists, young journalists, I go, there's two things you need to do: read and write. And the more you write, and the more you are broadcast or do radio, whatever you're doing, making mistakes is the only way you're going to find out not to make mistakes. Now, I'm 71. I'm still making mistakes. Maybe I'm going to make more mistakes because my short-term memory's gone. I think it's time for us to get to our Hesser and Kipke three things. It is brought to you by our good friends at Hesser and Kipke. Ken and Jen, sorry, we had to adjust there. Ken and Jen, for all your needs in workers' compensation and family law, you can reach them at 352-339-9920 or www.hklawfl.com. Let's get to number one, and that is that the Colts are saying now that Phillip Rivers may start. We'll have to find out. Obviously, with Riley Leonard being hurt, they already lost Daniel Jones for the year with that Achilles. Leonard's got a knee injury. Phillip Rivers at 44 and hasn't played in 2 years or 3 years, whatever it is. They said it was Kornheiser yesterday was saying 1,800 days since he's played his last game. Everybody in America, if he starts that game, is going to want to watch that game. They should change up whatever game you're going to have on, whether it's the Jaguars against the Jets, please, and put that game on. But that is, hey, the oldest quarterback is George Blanda, and I was watching those games. That's how old I am. George Blanda had this miracle season as the Raiders came in because I think LaMonica got hurt. And anyway, he was also their kicker. So he'd score a touchdown and then kick the extra point. He was modern day Spurrier. No, it was an old day Spurrier. Actually, it was before Spurrier. All right, so that's number one. Number two is interesting. Now, I'm not that familiar with Stephen Daly, but Stephen Daly is a really good player. I noticed him a lot last week because a lot of us haven't watched much of Indiana. And the reason we haven't watched them is you think, let me turn over the Indiana game. You turn it over and they're up like 28-3, and you go, let me get off of it. There's so much college football out there, but certainly watched all the Ohio State game. And he is now out for the year, apparently, with a knee injury, and he got it in a celebration, going around high-fiving fans, reaching up, jumping up. What a tough break. He's number 3 in the country in tackles for loss, so that's a blow for them. I don't know how big a blow it is for them in their opener. So what do they got? Oregon? Oregon will beat James Madison, that. But maybe. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if that's a factor or not. Finally, on our Hesser and Kipke three things, Oklahoma City, defending champions, coached by a former Gator assistant, but they'll fall off this year, right? Well, let's see. Right now, they're 24-1. Last night, they beat Phoenix by 49. They have tied the same record that the Warriors had when they won 73 games. And I know they're going to go for that. They're not going to be load managing people. They're going to go for that record. I don't know if it's fun to. I mean, if you're an OKC fan, it's fun. But if you're just a casual basketball and an NBA fan, or even a, like I'm not a big NBA guy, but when a team's playing that good, you kind of want to flip over and see them. But then you go flip it over and you go, this isn't fun to watch. They're just killing them. They can't stop them, and they can't. Well, one team did. Anyway, that's our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's move along to our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week, and is brought to you by our good friends at BMI TeleMed. I hit a new low yesterday, by the way. I went and weighed myself, and I'm not going to tell you what it was, but it was a new low for a long time. I think when I was born, I weighed this. But anyway, they have helped me, BMI TeleMed, medical weight loss specialist, achieve and maintain with them 727-383-1677. And they are trying to get more, people to understand that you don't have to gain weight during the holidays. So, and I know I've been through that where you gain weight, but you don't have to if you give them a call, and you get a discount. I think it's 10 or 20%. Charlie will email me and tell me that, because I get confused sometimes, but you know that. But anyway, it's great situation there. All right, our smooth move of the week belongs to the head of the NCAA, Charlie Baker. And again, what do you mean? We just had this, and it was terrible to reveal. Hey, they have nothing to do with the football tournament. It had nothing to do with it. But they did say that they have to come to a decision by April about the basketball tournament next year. They want to expand it. Some people want to expand it. Some people don't. 72, 76. I'm a big believer in the more games you want to show me, the more I'm going to watch. But I'm a nerd. I am a sports nerd. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, about how when I was in high school, I can tell you all these things that happened that were big things that happened to me in high school, and they all involved me watching sports. And that's sad, but that's the nerd I was and am. I haven't changed. So anyway, they give April deadline. We need to know. We need to figure this out. If you want to stay at 68, stay at 68. If they went to 64, it wouldn't bother me. But if you're going to go and expand, if you're talking about it, there's more money. And that's the thing. They're still negotiating with CBS and all their partners, True TV and all that. True TV once a year. Anyway, that is our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week. Let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, brought to you by our good friend Adam Brewer and Michelle over there at Adams Ribco, the best place to go for any of your barbecue needs and other stuff too, like Nana's fish nuggets, available on Fridays only. They melt in your mouth. Let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, and it's Jake Slaughter. And Jake Slaughter, the offensive line caught a lot of grief this year. There's no question. And I agree. They should have. But it wasn't Jake Slaughter's fault. He was doing his best. And he opened some massive holes, and he protected. He got great grades from PFF, and it wasn't his fault. He was doing well. And that's why he was named first team all SEC. Now, I do know that offensive line tend to be, Jake Slaughter was last year, and he plays for Florida. He's still good. He started every game. Yeah. I don't know that a lot of guys really study it much, but he should have been in there. Yeah. All SEC, the best center. Yeah. No doubt about it. He's also on the On-3 All-American team as a first teamer. So Jake Slaughter, that is why you are our Gator of the Week, brought to you by Adams Ribco. And if you want to have lunch at Adams Ribco, just let me know. That's a standing offer for anybody who wins this award. I'll buy you lunch. Now, if everybody decides at once they want lunch, that's going to be a lot of money, but I'll come up with it. All right. I don't think it's going to happen. Let's get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick, brought to you by our good friend Kyle Cohen at Leonardo's at Millhopper, where you can go get a dual sandwich. Also, I've got so many qualifiers. I think I counted them up today. There were 49 qualifiers already. So we're going to give you one today and then one on Monday, and we'll make a pull on Thursday for $25 at Leonardo's at Millhopper. And also, we will get that to you. Our game is really one game to talk about, and that is Army-Navy. I mean, there's a bowl game this week, but I'm not gonna bother you with that. But Army Navy is and Navy is favored by 6 points in that game. So that's your pick. Army Navy, Navy -6. And then we'll give you one more qualifier on Monday. My guess is it'll be no. We'll figure out something. But anyway, that is a way to qualify for our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick. Let's move to this, that, and the other. This, that, and the other is brought to you by our great sponsors, Notary Joe's. If you need to get notary done, he will come to your house. It's a mobile notary. We appreciate Joe for being part of that. It is brought to you by Dar Shakow Insurance for all your home and auto insurance needs. Dar Shakow, the place to go for that. And it is brought to you by the Atlanta Hustle, the Southeast Ultimate Frisbee team. They are the team of the South, and when they are getting ready to get started pretty soon. So we'll keep you informed about that. All right, let's get to our this, that, and the other. The this is that the SEC schedules are coming out today. And it's kind of exciting that they're coming out. Now, we all know who Florida's playing. We all know who everybody's playing. By the time you're watching this, it's probably already been revealed, but it hadn't been before I came on the air. My point is that they're going to be revealed, so you'll find out the dates for everything. Then they'll have to figure out what homecoming's going to be, and we'll see how that all works out. It'll be interesting to see. It's a little bit easier schedule this year than last year. It comes out. We're all excited, but SEC teams have scheduled very well. Look, they do play some cupcakes, but they're always at least one team we know from Power 5 or Power 4, you got to play them. And then you try to get more teams because where we were back in 7 or 8 years ago, college football attendance was declining. Then COVID happened, so it would have been 5 years ago. Then COVID happened, and it bumped everything, and everybody wants to go to the games. And it's just been 18 straight sellouts for a team that was losing here at Florida. But that's the way it's been everywhere. So everybody's backing off their schedules. Not only that, that is the SEC and the ACC both go, okay, we'll play 9. Okay, you convinced us 9 would be better. And that's why the other is that teams are dropping, and we've seen this before, are dropping games they were scheduled against other teams. Georgia, in fact, this was the news yesterday, announced that they've dropped a home and home at Louisville that was going to start next year. You got Georgia Tech already on there. You got 9 SEC games. You're good. And so that's what, hey, look, I get it. Florida's playing Florida Atlantic and Campbell next year, and FSU, which may fit right in there. But so that's what's happening, and that is going to continue to happen. They also dropped NC State down the road as well. Florida still wants to play Notre Dame. That is not one they're gonna back out on, but they have backed out on several, and we'll see whether they do on Colorado. We talked about that before, but Colorado, that was not written with no buyout. They may have to buy it out, and they may go play there. So anyway, we'll see. But yeah, schedule release today, though. That'll be interesting. All right, that is our this, that, and the other for today. Let us move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. It is brought to you by our good friends at Gallo Car Wash, where we get all 3 of our cars washed all the time. We appreciate them very much. Our Sponge of the Week is Ivan Maisel, and it's not meant to be a derogatory thing. I love Ivan very much. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. But what he went through was crazy, in that, if you don't know, he's on the selection committee. Notre Dame came out and said, it wasn't Notre Dame that did this. The bookstore said, we're a little worried about security here. We're going to cancel your appearance to sign the book about Frank Leahy, which, great book. I haven't read it yet, but we're going to try to get a couple of copies in here. Maybe we can give them away. I'm going to call Ivan today and say, hey, if you can send us a couple, we'll send you a check, and we're happy to do it because we want to help support him. But anyway, so they canceled his appearance, and he was disappointed. And all of a sudden everybody at Notre Dame went, whoa, 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 we already have everybody hating us for pulling out of the bowl game and for whining about it. Let's not do this too. Let's get this done. Oh, by the way, Ivan Maisel had to be recused when they talked about Notre Dame because Marcus Freeman wrote a blurb in his book. So which makes sense. But I don't know, the whole thing. The bottom line is he's going to sell a lot of books, believe me. And he should. And he's a good dude. Anybody who was picking on him, you picked on the wrong guy, because everybody on social media came to his defense, and he, now it's all back. Now it's back on. So they're going to do it. And the AD and the president said, or whatever it is, Pope. Is the Pope the president of Notre Dame? I don't know. I guess it kind of is. Anyway, they said, hey, you need to have this book signing. It needs to happen. All right. That's our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. Let's move along to announce our Mark Gaida Pepin Realty winner. We do have a winner now. And then we will start on Monday doing the 12 for basketball. And that'll be a lot of fun. So we look forward to that. And Mark Gaida has been a great sponsor, and we appreciate him for Pepin Realty. Our winner is Alan Fowler, who nailed all the picks for the 5 through 8 and got 9, and got almost nailed right on the money the number of points Florida would score in their game Tuesday night. So you are a winner, Alan. I think I have your email address, but if I'm pretty sure I do, and I will just forward that $75 gift certificate at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill to you, Alan. Appreciate that. And we'll get another contest like that going. I did a contest on my Patreon site where I did picking all the championship games, and it was fun. We got a lot of people involved in that too. The trouble is now I had 3 different pages of contest, but it's okay. I like giving stuff away, and we're going to continue to do that next week when we have actual playoff games taking place. All right. Let us move along to our final thing, which we always do to wrap up our show, which is the Swamp Games of the weekend. Oh, it's going to be another fun weekend, and it's brought to you by the Swamp Restaurant, the place to go on the weekends and watch all these great games, great food, great drink specials at the Swamp Restaurant. One of my favorite places to go, man. And hey, look, we appreciate them surviving the way other places are just going under. It's unbelievable. All right. Let's give you a couple. Saturday, you got the Cricket Bowl. Now, I don't expect you to watch that, but it's South Carolina State at Prairie View. It's on at noon on ABC. It's in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So, and then you got the Bucked Up Bowl, which is the LA Bowl, basically. I think Gronkowski is the host for it. Remember it was called the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl one year? Anyway, it's at SoFi, which is a great stadium. Boise at Washington. I don't know if I'm going to get overly excited about that, but I may watch it. 8 o'clock on ABC that Saturday. Also, you have a good basketball game on Friday, Texas at UConn. You get to watch the UConn boys play again and see how Texas does against them. That's on Fox at 8 o'clock. Also, basketball Saturday, Arkansas at Texas Tech, noon on ESPN2. George Washington at Florida, 2:30 on ESPN2. So you can watch that game there. The Gators playing George Washington. They've only lost this year. Indiana at Kentucky, too. That's 7:30. 7:30 on ESPN. And then Arizona at Alabama at 9:30 on ESPN. So there's a lot of good basketball games going on. Tonight you do have, obviously, the NFL, Atlanta at Tampa Bay, 8:15 on Prime. And then Sunday, Green Bay at Denver. That's the game I'm looking forward to. That's the 425 game of the week. You also have Miami at Pittsburgh is the Monday night game, 8:15 on ESPN. That'll be interesting. I don't know. Is McDaniel saved his job, I guess? They've won a bunch of games. I don't know. We'll see how all that goes. All right. That's going to do it for a long, another duly noted podcast. We went a little over here today. But hey, look, I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of our great sponsors. Mostly, I appreciate Zach for doing a great job of handling this. And we appreciate everybody out there for watching and listening. We'll be back with another show on Monday with the coach, Spurrier. That'll be a lot of fun. Another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I am Pat Dooley. I am deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.